Welcome to another episode of Best of America by Horseback. I'm your host, Dale Shields. We want to talk to you about preseason preparation for your horses. As the riding season is upon us, we need to have those horses ready, legged up, and ready to go on this trailer. It's not only important to have your truck and your trailer ready, but also of vital importance is knowing that your horse is sound, healthy, and ready to go. On this episode, we want to share some of our ideas with you, some things that we do here at the ranch, as we try to make sure that our horses are ready and sound and happy. Sit back and watch this episode of Best of America by Horseback. We are here at home at the High Trail Ranch near Humboldt, Kansas. Hi, I'm your host, Dale Shields, and on this episode, we want to talk to you about preseason preparation for your horses. Sit back and watch with us as we talk about some things that perhaps you haven't thought of, maybe some things that you will find helpful as you get ready to get on the road in the new year. We like to take this time and bring our horses up and look at some body condition issues. We want to be able to check them out for soreness and lameness and injury. We want to take a look at a number of things on the horse's physical condition to make sure that they are ready to be loaded in a trailer and hauled for 500 miles or 1,000 miles and be able to perform the task that we ask of them once we arrive there. We know that these horses require a lot of care and they depend upon us for the care that they get. So we're looking forward to being able to share this episode with you on some things that we do that we hope will be beneficial to you. The pre-riding season is a very important time for us to be able to take our horses in and do the things necessary to make sure that they are healthy, ready to go, legged up, and just going to perform well for us, so that our equine friends as well as us can have an enjoyable time out on the trails. As we're doing preseason preparation for getting the horses ready for the summer's workout, going on the road, going on trails, the different activities that we're going to be doing with all of these, I like to get them in just a little bit before we hit the road and really look them over, look at their body conditions, check them out a little bit, and make sure that there's no lameness or any injury issues, which we watch these all year long, and through the winter they're up here getting fed and taken care of. We even take some to the vet for one thing or another, but this is something I kind of like to do so that before we really get busy heading out on the road, we've got a good idea of how everyone's doing. Here it is, we're just into March this year, and you know, it's a pretty warm day. I felt like wearing the straw hat today, and so here in a couple days it's supposed to drop back down into the 20s again at night. So there are some changes for these horses, but they are as raw as they can be. They have all the dirt, all the mud. They've been out here rolling, trying to get some of this winter hair to come off. The grass is starting to green up just a little bit. So I just want to look at these horses, talk about their condition, and make sure that everything looks good on them. If we start here with old Naked, you know, Naked's 17 years old now, 18. He's the horse I rode from Mexico to Canada. He's still in great shape. I look at his body condition. You know, he's looking pretty good coming through the winter. He'll pick up a little bit more weight as the green grass comes on, but overall, it just looks really good. So I just want to look at his body, make sure that looks good. You know, I'll take my hand and rub down their top line, see if there's any soreness. You know, maybe they are out in their back or hip from out here rolling in the pasture. Pick up a foot, make sure everything's you know, looking good, and while I'm not going to do the whole activity here, I like to kind of show you what I do to make things where I understand where these horses are at this point in time. So just, running your hands down a leg, making sure there's no soreness, checking out the hoof condition. Have the hooves broken off? Are there any punctures or anything that's going on? Where these horses are out in the pasture running all winter long, I mean, we interact with them regularly. However, we don't use them as heavy during the cold months. When the weather conditions are like this, it's a good idea to keep a close eye on the hoof care of your horses, because this old ground can be pretty brutal on them, especially here in Kansas. The freezing and the thawing, lots of ice, and so keeping a good eye on the hooves makes a big difference in your pre-season preparations, knowing what you need to do to get ready for riding on the trails later on in the spring. Are these horses sound? Are there any things that are going to alarm us to something that needs to be fixed, taken care of? Stretch a leg, see how she's moving. Just check them out a little bit. Her body condition looks really good. She's young. She's a 6-year-old. Pretty easy keeper. And so, she's just really good shape. As most of you know, she's one of the horses that we haul a lot. And so we really want to make sure that she's good and sound and ready to go on the road. Misty's my main horse that I travel with. She's also a 6-year-old. This past year, she did get into a fence, cut some hide here above on the hocks. So she was off for a little while, but she's been in pretty good shape. We've been using her some over the past few weeks, and so I know that she's overall just pretty good shape. But once again, if we look here, she's got some mane that's been chewed off, or one of the geldings has worked on her mane a little bit. She's not going to be the prettiest when we get her out on the trail this year to start off, but hopefully that'll grow back. Sometimes, we just want to look in these horses' mouths to make sure the gum color looks good. We don't see any problems with any teeth. Just keep them healthy in that mouth, because that's really important. Putting that bit in and out of there over and over. Sometimes they get a little soreness. You get a tooth cracked or another problem. And if you don't keep a close eye on these things, you can run into a really big issue with some infection and stuff. Just looking those things over is really important. Checking out their eye. Are their eyes good? Have they had any issues that you just didn't notice? The eye can tell you a lot about the health of the horse. When we return, we're going to share more helpful hints with you on having your horse ready before you hit the trail. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. This week we're at home at the High Trail Ranch near Humboldt, Kansas, talking about pre-season preparation for your horses, how to have them ready before they get on the trails, knowing they're healthy and ready to go. These animals work really hard for us, all the things that we ask of them, and we want to give them the best opportunity we can to have a good experience. We don't want them to have to work if they are injured or sore or having an issue somewhere. We want it to be a good experience for them as it is for us. And so it's just important to look at all these different elements of knowing that they are healthy, that all their body parts, the moving parts, are working well. We don't want them to have these problems that are going to increase once we get them in the trailer and start heading down the road. We want them to be able to make those trips with good condition and in good body shape, and know that they're going to be okay. So what I'm doing here with Misty is simply getting her to move out. I want to watch her move, see if there's any sign of any lameness, make sure she's moving out properly, and you get a soreness in a leg or down her back or anywhere in the body, it's going to tell when you've got it moving out like this. So I just want to see her move her feet a little bit. She's licking her lips here, and she's just relaxing, going around the circle. And so she's looking really good in this position. So what I want to do now is stop her. Ooh. And we're going to turn and change positions here. And I'll let her do the same thing from the other side. And sometimes soreness that doesn't show up on one side will show up on the other side. And so we'll get her moving out this way. And there she wants to get into a lope a little bit. That's okay. We'll let her move out. See how she moves. I like watching them move out anyway, and it's good for it. Girl, come on. Come on. So I'm not seeing anything that's alarming to me. Once again, I just want to check her body out and make sure that she's healthy, that she's moving good, feeling good, and there's no issues that we need to deal with. If there is, we'll take them to the veterinarian and have them checked over and see what's going on with them. But these are some things I really like to do to make sure before we throw them in a trailer and haul them, for 500 or 1,000 miles at a time, and then put them on some trails that are challenging for them to have to move their bodies and climb and go up and down inclines and over logs and all these things, that they're healthy. And so just the overall condition of these horses is so important. So, she moved out really good going forward. She trotted well, she loped a little bit, looked good, and but I'm going to back her up just a little bit. I want to make sure that backward motion, doesn't hurt her, that she's looking good, placing those feet back there, and she doesn't look like she's got a problem with this. So she's moving out really well, going backwards. There's just a lot of things to consider on these animals. There's lots of body parts, a lot of moving parts. And so I want to pull her head to the side, see how her neck's flexing. We'll just get her to pull around here. I'm not putting much pressure, and she's really giving to me really well there. So I'll let her have that back for a minute. We'll bring her back again. I want to move her to the side with her head flexed. Bring that nose around a little bit. Just want to move them around a little bit. See how they're moving, see how they're feeling. As I said, she's a young horse, but nonetheless, young horses can have issues also. She's bringing that head to me really well, really soft. And so we're going to give that back to her for a minute. And then we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to ask for it back. Push to the side a little bit. Get her to move those feet. Come around a little bit. Move those feet. She's not stumbling. She's moving her feet, crossing them over. Looking good there. And so, I just want to make sure all these body parts are working well. There's no soreness and no problems. As we said before, these animals are very important to us, and we want to give them the very best opportunity that we can for them to have a good experience. Every spring we gather up the horses and we have a vet check. Our vet either comes to the ranch here and gives all of the annual vaccinations, dewormings, checkovers, or we haul them to him. This year we happened to haul them down to Paul and had all of these vaccinations done. But we feel it's very important to keep all of these horses vaccinated in the very best ways. We like to also give the rabies shot for the area that we live in. We have skunks that oftentimes carry rabies, and that can be a real big scare.
So every spring we kind of wakes everybody up for the horses, and we start thinking about our vaccines. And when there's some various vaccines that I'd suggest you ask your veterinarian, but the core vaccines are sleeping sickness, tetanus, West Nile, rabies. I like to stick the rabies on the right and I put the other on the left, and that way if I were to have a reaction, I would know which one maybe it was. I tend to push on my horse. The horse pushes back, but I'll advance the needle as I push, pull back, make sure there's no blood coming back in the syringe, and then I want to rub that away very well. It kind of gets rid of that needle track and disperses the vaccine in there just a little bit.
One of the other aspects of being prepared before the riding season gets here is thinking about the overall nutritional well-being of these animals. You know, they've been out here on the pasture all winter. We've had them on round bales or square bales, and they're getting whatever grass, you know, is provided for them here. But when we decide to go on the road trip, the last thing we want to do is just pull them off of those dry bales or, you know, whatever they've been eating, throw them in a trailer, change their diet, and begin to give them something else that their system's not used to. We can sure be asking for some problems if we do that. What we recommend is bringing these horses up at least a week before we put them in the trailer. Start changing that feed over slowly, day by day. Get them used to it, get them built up and used to that. Let their system grow ready for that before we completely change them over from what they've been eating all winter to a brand new diet. And so as these horses go down the road, they're already prepared to eat the feed that we are giving them when we put them in the trailer, when we get them to the location, put them in a new stall in a new place. They're ready to go ahead and eat the feed that we are giving them. So these things are really important in making preparations early, knowing what we're going to do before the time comes. You know, we love these horses and we certainly want to take the best care of them that we can. And so by thinking ahead a little bit on some of these issues, will sure make life a lot better for them. And when it's good for them, it's good for us. Right, Misty? Doing the right thing for your horses is always important. As we have tried to share some things with you that are important to us and trying to make sure our horses are sound, healthy, ready to go, we hope these have been a benefit to you. As the trail riding season is upon us, we want to make sure our horses are ready, and we want to make sure yours are too. We'd love to have you come and join us on one of our events. To do so, you can find out where we're going to be by looking at our website at www.bestofamericabyhorseback.com, and then call us at 620-433-1819 for more information or to register. You can also watch all of our past episodes on our YouTube channel and keep up with us on our Facebook page. We'd love to have you come and join us, but until you do, always ride the high trail.